the grants manager department. In this workshop, you'll be provided with information about this grant, eligibility, criteria, funding and restrictions, categories you may apply for, scoring, how to apply, the timeline, and where you can find answers if you have any questions. And additional information can be found at the sanantonio.gov/art-grants. Write down your questions and we'll open the floor for Q&A after the presentation. The goal of this grant is to assist applicants in the production of high-quality, innovative, and accessible performing arts programming in San Antonio. When you visit our website at sanantonio.gov/art-grants, you'll find the information and resources such as links to our guidelines, timeline for this grant, where to apply, and where to send questions. If you're looking for a venue location, there is a link to a variety of venues available all around the city. Be sure to review the request for applications for this grant. Requests for applications are down at the bottom here. To be eligible, applicants must be a performing arts producing organization as defined in Section 2 of the Performing Arts Guidelines, been actively producing performances in the city of San Antonio for a minimum of the last 3 years, be in good standing with the City of San Antonio contracts and policies as applicable. You must be a San Antonio-based organization with your primary business address within Bexar County. The IRS recognized 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit, in good status as a nonprofit corporation and up to date with your IRS 990 filings. Nonprofit status is current, and that you're in good standing with the Texas Secretary of State's office, and your IRS 990 is filed for the fiscal year that is 2 years prior to this current fiscal year. You must have an active board of directors that meets regularly, and at least half of your agency programming for the last 3 years includes performing arts. Regarding event requirements, an applicant must have already had an event planned to be eligible for funding. Events must be held within the city limits of San Antonio and be open and accessible to the public. And at least 70% of artistic performers must be Bexar County residents. Production costs, back of house labor fees shall be paid at established union labor rates. And that's regardless of whether the venue is a union house or whether the personnel are union members. The city will not pay more or less than the established union labor rates. Event, please note that it is prohibited to solicit additional funding from the city for your event, and the number of grants to be awarded will be dependent upon the amount of funding available. An open call for this grant is held once every 2 years. This contract begins October 1, 2022 and ends September 30, 2023. Performances must be completed in San Antonio within the 12-month period of the contract. Please keep in mind that applicants may only operate one contract per contract period. Please take a moment to review this list. Excuse me. This is a funding cycle. I just wanted to let you know that this is applicable to the last comments that I just made. Please take a moment to review this list. These are restrictions for which funding cannot be used. That would be fundraising or programs that are therapeutic or recreational, political purposes, or productions that include explicit content. Funding may also not be used to support debt reduction efforts, religious purposes, fiesta events, private events, or events held in facilities whose main purpose or source of revenue is for food or beverage. A complete list is also included in the request for applications on the department's webpage at sanantonio.gov/art-grants. Next, we'll review the evaluation criteria. For experience, applicants will provide work samples based on three past events that they have listed in the application. So work samples will be evaluated based on the history of past successful, artistically excellent, relevant, and/or innovative performances. Also, efforts to achieve broad and diverse participation across San Antonio as a community, including areas that are economically challenged and/or with a higher concentration of persons of color. Applicants have two options for submitting their work samples. You can either upload your supporting documents into GoSmart Media Bank. Actually, that would be the one option available for organizations, is to upload to the GoSmart Media Bank. Also, artistic excellence and innovative programming will be scored on that. That would be 40 points. The extent to which the event is artistically excellent, innovative, or relevant, and/or enriches the San Antonio culture. Qualification of organizers, your staff and artists supporting the event and implementation, and proposed efforts to promote the performance and achieve broad and diverse participation across San Antonio, including those areas of economically challenged and diverse populations. Lastly, for capability, you can score up to 30 points when you demonstrate you can properly manage the grant funding and administer a program or event effectively. Take time to read the request for applications posted to our website. Again, it is at sanantonio.gov/art-grants. The next several slides will walk you through the process of the application and how to access our online grant portal at sanantonio.gosmart.org. You'll complete and submit your intent to apply by May 20th. Upon review of the completed intent to apply, staff will release the application. And then at that point, your application must have a deadline of June 10th, 2022. This is our online grant portal, sanantonio.gosmart.org. If you've applied before, you'll have a logon already. So click that at the top left, right here in your logon. And if you're new to the website, go down to the bottom left and click this blue link down here. Click here to create a new profile, this link. That will take you to this screen, and you click the blue button, Yes, I agree, right down here at the bottom left. And this screen will open where you'll create a profile. So click the button at the top left for organization, right here, and then populate the information for your organization. Here it's asking for your primary contact information, and notice at the top right, there's a little phrase called Tech Tips right here. And this helps you if you have a technical issue with the system. Just click on that and a screen will open up where you can research some questions and answers about the system. When you click that little question or tech tips, this is the screen that will pop up. If you scroll down, you'll see some links to tutorials about how to use the system. And these are some examples of some of the tutorials that are available. When you're logged on to the sanantonio.gosmart.org, click the gray tab at the top, Current Programs and Applications. At that point, you'll be able to see our list of grants. You're going to scroll down the list until you see the 2022-2023 production cost grants for organizations. You're going to click Start Intent to Apply right here. This is the opening page of the intent to apply with some introductory instructions regarding restrictions on communications with City Council members, their staff, and the Department of Arts and Culture staff. And then we ask for any other names that your organization is known by. Take some time to review these questions carefully. You notice that the first couple of questions verify if you're a performing arts producing organization. There are some text boxes to answer questions regarding any bankruptcy history for the organization, proof of performance in San Antonio in the last 3 years, and that you certify that 70% of your artists for your proposed event are either San Antonio or Bexar County residents. Be sure to click the blue button to save your work as you go through the intent to apply. You must be headquartered in San Antonio, and we want to know the name of the signatory for your organization, the contact information for your secondary contact, and tell us if you anticipate any mergers or acquisitions. That doesn't count against you. It's just information that we need to know. Click Submit, and you are done with step 1, the intent to apply. So remember, this is a 2-step process. Staff will review your eligibility in the intent to apply, and if you are approved, you'll be notified that you can proceed to step 2, where the application will be open for you to access. And the deadline to submit the application is 5:00 p.m. on June 10th. Log on to the sanantonio.gosmart.org system and click the tab at the top again, the current programs and applications. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and find the application. Your intent to apply will show approved. And next to that, you're going to click on the blue link, the start, to begin part 2 of the application. Here, you're going to see a different text that we have here because we've used a test applicant, and so we've already sent them through that process. But your link will say, start your application. Up at the top left, you'll see the various sections of the application, and you can go back and forth between these sections. Whatever page you're on will be highlighted. Remember to click the blue Save button at the bottom of the screen when you have this open so you don't lose your work, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Here we're asking you to pick the top 3 performances that you've done in the past 3 years that you want to exhibit or show experience, and respond to the following questions. We ask for the number of performances you are requesting and a description of the event. What is the purpose? What makes it innovative or relevant? How does it enrich the San Antonio community? Describe the artistic personnel and their key achievements. Tell us about your marketing plans to achieve a broad and diverse audience. Include plans to market to the economically or geographically challenged or constituencies with large audiences of community of color. We also ask you to describe your target audience, the accessibility to the events, enter a total dollar amount requested under this grant, and keep in mind that the minimum request is $5,000 and the maximum request is $25,000. Enter the average production cost per performance that you are requesting under this grant. We also ask for your timeline in a chronologic order, so be certain to include the major milestones that are listed here in the instructions. List the overall budget for your event. Be sure to include the following allowable expenses referenced above and detail all the other sources of funds such as sponsorships, Enter the average production cost per performance, list the total dollar. And keep in mind that if you're awarded a grant, you may be required to obtain insurance coverage at that time, especially if you enter into a contract with the city. As we mentioned earlier, there are two ways. Actually, there's one way for you to submit your work sample. If you've got work samples in different types of media files, there are methodologies to upload. Be sure to sort your media files so that the past performances are grouped together first, and then all key personnel artistic achievement files are grouped together second. This will be very helpful for the panelists as they review your work samples. You're going to upload your support materials. We provide the instructions here, how to upload, and what the media size limitations are for each type of media that you might be using. These are examples of instructions you'll see when you go in regarding media upload. If you forget to answer any questions, you'll see this page. It lists which questions are not answered. You'll be able to link right to go straight to them. You won't be able to submit your application until all required questions are answered. So when you're complete, click the blue submit button at the end of the application. There's the submit button. After you've answered all the required questions, you'll be able to submit your work. And please note that when you do submit, you'll not be able to go back to the intent to apply or the application to make changes. Once you submit, you'll get a message that your application was received and is under review. Staff will review your submission and notify you of the status. And if there are any questions, we'll notify you and ask you what clarification we need. Please take a minute to review this timeline. The intent to apply is due no later than May 20th at 5:00 p.m. On May 23rd, we will open up Part 2 of the application, which will be due no later than June 10th at 5:00 p.m. Once the application closes, selected panelists will evaluate and score applications. In August, the Arts Funding Committee and the San Antonio Arts Commission will meet to discuss approval of the funding recommendations. During September, we'll hold a mandatory contract workshop for grantees. We'll notify everyone with the exact date and time, and contracts again begin October 1st, 2021. If you have any questions, contact Ellen Goes Hockaday at 210-207-6964, or she can be reached at artsfunding@sanantonio.gov. Review the request for applications on the department's website at sanantonio.gov/artsgrants and apply online at sanantonio.gosmart.org. And again, we're going to make this workshop available on our website following this session. Thank you, and we'll open the floor for questions now. Raise your hand in the chat box or send a message to the host, Amanda Montalvo. We're open for questions. Thanks.
Hi, Karen. I do see a question that just came in from Emmanuel Sid Gonzalez. And Emmanuel, I just unmuted you, so you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I was going to ask, I saw in the guidelines that you're only funding events that have a 3-year history at the nonprofit. Do they have to be consecutive years, like 3 years in a row?
The past 3 years.
Oh, like
So
these past 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, so 2021, 2020, and 2019. Okay.
You could include the early part of 2020. I think it would depend on when your fiscal year ends for your organization.
Oh, okay. So it's 2020, 2021, and 2022 is what we're looking at for this grant.
That's a good question. I think we would consider that, and we'll take that into our FAQ and get a response for everybody and get that posted in FAQ.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's really the only question I had, because I wasn't sure if it was just like a 3-year history in the history of the company, or if it was just specifically these last 3 years. But yeah, great. I'll look forward to that when that gets posted. That was my only question.
Well, super. We realized that we've had a number of agencies that haven't had events during the pandemic. And so for those of you who've had programming in 2022, we'll take that back to see if we can consider that, since the guidelines are a bit flexible in that regard. Next question.
I don't see any hands raised just yet. I do see a comment here from Frank Villani. And Frank, if you'd like to speak to that, I can go ahead and unmute you.
Hello. So the big question that I had was, I just want to make sure that because we control our own venue, we're not excluded. We can still use the cost to pay for the stagehands and the actors, or is this that you actually have to be renting another venue to be able to qualify?
Great question, Frank. This grant is open for current grantees. It's also open for grantees that, or organizations that are not current grantees of the department. And many of you already have your own venues, as Frank was talking about. You are eligible. You can apply this grant toward the other back of house production costs, like technical personnel, equipment, and security, barricades, that type of thing. So you do not have to hold your event at a separate venue from the one that your organization is currently housed.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I haven't seen any other comments come in just yet. Oh, I do see a hand raised from Kim Corbin. Kim, I'm going to unmute you right now.
Hi, I have a question about the union rates. Do you have a chart of that?
Good question, Kim. And no, we don't, because we understand that for different types of technical personnel and the union, that each organization may have its own agreement with that particular union. So the rates would be specific to your organization and what you have agreed to with the union. If you do not have a current contract with the union, but you want to research with the union for whom you would be using expenses toward those technical personnel, then you may want to just do some research with them to find out what their rate would be.
Okie doke.
We're not dictating the rate to you.
All righty, thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Good
The
question.
next question is in from Mona Lisa, and you can go ahead and speak.
So regarding the use of the union, we're not required to use the union. Is that correct? You're just paying out at union rates. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Next question is from Catherine Cisneros, and you can go ahead and speak.
Actually, well, we have a question regarding one of the shows that we produce here. And while staff is covered by the operational monies, we are going to be using an outside venue. Is this something that we can do?
Right. I think the question is it a conflict of interest if we have an operational grant And we are producing shows at our studio, but if we produce one of these giant shows that we
Another venue.
at another venue like Lila Cockrell or another place, can we use this grant specifically for that without it being a
Yes, you may.
conflict of interest?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
You're not duplicating your expenses from the other grant that you might have with the department. We're not double paying for the same expenses. They're separate expenses.
Okay, that makes
Great.
sense. That makes
Thank you,
sense.
thank you.
And next question is from Roland Barrera, and you can go ahead and speak.
Hi, thank you for having the workshop. I know the question was related for me to operational expenses in the operations grant. Now, if we did the events grant and it's for a specific event that we're producing, so we couldn't use this grant to apply for that, correct? Because you said that you can't duplicate the event that you've already received funding for.
Pardon me. No, actually, you can use this grant for an event that you might also be utilizing for your events grant. And that's because you may be listing other costs on your events grant, but they may not be for or cover the same costs here. So if you've got back of house production costs associated with your event, but you're not charging those against your events grant, you can list them in this grant. This is specific to the production costs related to the events that you're holding. Lighting personnel, sound personnel. So if you have to rent a venue for your event in the events grant, and part of the cost of renting that venue, they're charging you for their own in-house personnel or the personnel they're going to be hiring at labor union rates, then this grant is for that type of expense.
Excellent. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Right, so next question is from Eugenio Del Bosque, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute you so you can speak.
Thank you. And sorry if this has been asked. I was disconnected at the beginning of the Q&A, but can we use this funding for more than one show? Say we have 2 or 3 plays planned for the year, for the period of support. Can we distribute the funding within the 3 plays, or does it have to be just for one particular play?
There is the opportunity in the application to list a series of events if you choose a series that you want to apply this funding for. So it doesn't have to be the same event that you're doing multiple shows. It could be different productions. It could be the multiple production of the same show. So both options are eligible to utilize and to list. Just remember that the cost, the threshold is no more than $25,000 in total. That's the maximum amount that you could qualify for in this grant. So if you're listing a series of productions, the limit of this grant would be $25,000 and no more.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? I don't believe I've seen any anything else come in just yet.
I'm going to share a question that came in privately, so we'll share it for everybody to benefit from. So we have some folks that may be negotiating currently with unions for their tech personnel, and their current rates, they don't have a current rate because they're in negotiation. So you're going to have to estimate in your application for what you're expecting to pay.
I do see one question that came in from Alicia Silva, and I'm going to unmute you right now.
Thank you for this information. I just need one clarification. You mentioned that in order to qualify for the grant, 70% of the artistic performers must be San Antonio residents. Is that correct? Do I understand that they have to be from here, that we cannot bring performers from other places?
Well, you can bring performers from other places, but 70% of your performers must be San Antonio or Bexar County residents.
Okay.
We want local artists to benefit from these performances, local performing artists.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Next question just came in from Tabitha Dunham, and I'm going to go ahead and unmute you.
Hi, thanks. My question is clarifying the award amount. Is it based on a percentage of the project budget or any other qualifiers like that?
It's not based on the percentage of the project budget.
Okay.
So when you're inputting your budget information and you're asking for a particular dollar amount, a total dollar amount across all events that you're proposing for consideration, obviously the budget has got to match up to the dollar amount that you're requesting. So you could, for instance, you would not want to request more than what you're showing in your budget.
Right. Okay, thank you.
These are good questions. This is a new grant that we're offering, first time out on this one. And so we understand if you've got some questions that occur a little later, as you're either going through the guidelines or you're going through the intent to apply in the application, completely understandable. Please reach out to Ellen and we'll be certain to get back to you with anything that you have. But we're very excited to be offering this grant.
With that, doesn't look like we have any new questions coming in unless anybody has any last minute questions that they want to go ahead and share. I don't think we have any more, Karen.
Well, great. Again, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you joining us. We'll look forward to working with you as you move through this application process. Please reach out to us. Ellen can be reached, as you see, at artsfunding@sanantonio.gov or at her phone number, 210-207-6964. And thanks again. We'll talk with you soon.
Okay, well, everybody's out. All the attendees are gone. Was there anything you wanted to go over before we ended this?
You know, I did not write down the questions. I don't know if anybody else did, but we can also pull them off of the recording. So Ellen, could you do that for us?
I took notes.
Sorry,
Karen.
Yeah, and I took notes as well.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, both of you, for that. Just trying to get all the hardware challenges situated here. Well, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it's
Well,
easy
thank
to
you,
have
everybody.
somebody else do that. But I got our attendee list together, but with the recording, I can wait. If y'all want to give me your notes, I can look at the recording and see what all is in the transcript. And if there's anything that's not in the notes, I can pull it from the transcript so we can combine it in the FAQ. Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you. Not my best presentation, but it'll do. It'll do.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Oh, you guys are being kind. I'm not fishing for compliments, so it was just, I had to unplug my mouse from my PC to plug it into the laptop so that everything would operate, because it's very obviously the touchpad on the laptop that's not working and creating a problem. But I needed to maneuver my script on the PC up and down. I had to use the up and down arrows. They're just really ancient on that keyboard, and so it's kind of weird, a little awkward, but we'll be okay. Gosh, did we have anybody signed up that did not attend? Do we know?
We did. So I saw that Mary Kay had signed up but didn't attend, so I don't know if she was listening with Frank.
Oh yeah.
But Eric was also signed in for Magic, so Frank would have the benefit. He could be doing this for Mary Kay, or at least he'll have the knowledge. And then Irene Galvin was signed in, but I think Victoria's right that she's may have been an artist, and she didn't log in, but she signed up for this workshop.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, also, I didn't see Katie DeBosch from Youth Orchestra, or Donald Mason, or Alicia Garza.
They Alicia and Katie signed in late. They were
okay.
Alicia had said that she was having audio issues and ended up calling in, and Katie had signed in later, but Donald didn't. And when I talked to Donald, he started the intent to apply, I guess, to look at the questions, but he basically expressed that he's not confident that they will qualify because they typically bring in a lot of their musicians, their artists outside of San Antonio. Some of them are international, and they may not have the 70%. So he had let me know that he'd have to go look at their programmings, but it's likely they wouldn't qualify for this one.
Good deal.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of questions as they get through the grant application. I think the intent to apply is probably the easy part for most of these folks. But I think when we get in the application, we're going to end up with more questions. So just be prepared for that one.
Oh, for sure. If I was able to go back and approve some more intent to applies, just since they had some little things. So I guess I noticed on our city website, I was checking the contracts disclosure form. They had updated the display for that. We would essentially, moving forward, need to put a link because it has the drop-down feature for originating department. That for some reason, because a lot of folks were not putting our department in there, and the writable PDF, the drop-down doesn't seem to be working very well.
Yeah.
But it's an easy fix. It's an easy fix to have them go back and write it in, but just for our common knowledge, we can probably just put in the link and just tell them to follow the link and submit it there. However y'all want to handle that, just so everybody knows.
Is that in the application side? Where do we currently have that position, Dylan?
The contracts disclosures in the intent to apply.
Okay. So sorry.
So when you have a chance, just so you see what I'm talking about, go to the COSA web to find the contracts disclosure form. And it's more you fill it out directly from that web page instead of just downloading the writable PDF. It's set up a little bit different. It's the same questions, but this display is different.
I think it might be too late for us to change the intent to apply for.
I understand. I'm saying moving forward. I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure I shared that because I noticed that yesterday. But
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I at least tell you guys that the IT made some changes recently.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good work, everybody. I've got some questions that came in to email, and I threw that public theater question in there as if it, it might be applicable, just to help folks, especially someone like Jumpstart who doesn't normally have, is a smaller outfit, doesn't have a contract maybe with union members, and so just wanted to make sure that we put that in the FAQ.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a question.
Pardon?
I think that's going to be a question we're going to get from a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so too.
I went ahead and put that in the FAQ after I got off the phone with Public Theater because I thought about that too as well, more so for the folks that have their own venues. It seems like they know a little bit more about that and it's not uncommon for them to have employees that join a union or they, so we'll see.
Okay, good. Well, this afternoon, I'm going to be calling the few panelists that I have not heard from and see if I can get their commitment. Victoria, I know you said that Melissa Marlowe was ill the other night, and that's why she didn't participate in the artist workshop, but she is one of our panelists for multidisciplinary. And so I want to reach out to her to see if I know she's not feeling well, but we need to know whether or not she's going to be able to serve later in the month as a panelist. So just want to let you know I am going to have to.
That was just yesterday. I would give her a couple of days.
I can't. I've got to call her today because the panels open Monday. So if she's got a couple of weeks to review everything, but if she doesn't feel like she's going to be well enough within the next 2 weeks to complete it all, then I need to go on to an alternate. So I don't have the luxury of not contacting her. I've got to contact her today. I just wanted to let you know. All righty. Well, thank you, team. Anything you want to share with me after the fact, I'm open. Again, I'm out tomorrow, but I'll be available all day today and early this evening.
Okay, and I'm heading out to my next meeting.
Okay, be careful out there. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thanks, Ellen.